Thank you for joining us. My name is Kate Adams, and this is my partner Shelby Cooten, and we are the interpreters traveling with the Royal BC Museum's Species at Risk exhibit this summer. We've traveled all around BC to different community events and museums and different partners to help do outreach about our province's incredible biodiversity and the reasons that that diversity is at risk.
We're at the Ktunaxa Nation Council building right now, and we have some guest presenters that we'd like to introduce you to.
Yeah, so we'll give you a quick look at our exhibit as well as some information about the Ktunaxa Nation's work with species at risk and all living things. So in order to do that, we have some special guests, and I will turn you over to them now. Again, thanks for joining us. Over here. He's hiding! Look at that! This is Dr. Gavin Hanky, who is the curator of vertebrates at the Royal BC Museum. And he also curated our little Species at Risk exhibit here. So we'll let him talk in just a moment. Wow, he worked a lot on it. And over here we have Cathy Conroy, who works with the Ktunaxa Nation.
Terrestrial biologist for the Ktunaxa Nation.
Perfect. All right, so Dr. Hanky, do you want to get us started?
I thought it was going to be warmer here.
It usually is.
Yeah.
We have some gray skies.
It's usually 36 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that would have been lovely. Yeah.
He's dressed for the sun.
I'm really dressed for this, yeah. I didn't bring a raincoat or anything. Yeah, it's a fantastic little exhibit. It was a lot of fun to put together. We try to cover as much as we can for the diversity of species at risk, given that it's a pretty tiny trailer.
Yeah, here it is.
A couple of panels, small little trailer. Obviously, I'd love to have included the basking shark, but how do you do that without a long banner of fabric with a picture of one, or maybe North Pacific right whale? I originally wanted that in the exhibit, but we just can't fit it in. I mean, try to fit that in the van, it just wouldn't do it. Yeah. So yeah, it's a combination. It's not just warm, fuzzy, charismatic megafauna. There's plants, there's insects, clams, snails, any of the species at risk in BC. And we had a lot of battles to try to figure out what we were going to include, because there are things that I like and there are things that maybe Claudia or Darren wanted to see in the exhibit. And so there was a lot of arm wrestling that went on, but it went together very quickly. I was thrilled with the people at the exhibit arts department that finally assembled it all for us.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
To take a standard trailer like this that you could buy at any dealership and retrofit it with bookshelves and a fold-out table and then a slide-in, almost like a transformer style table in the back. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun to do, even though it went together fast and it was very hectic. But it was a range of species from extinct, extirpated, endangered, threatened, special concern. I mean, we didn't want to include all gloom and doom. You know, some species are still doing okay. We include things that are gone globally or things that are specific to BC, but then other species that are right on our border. So they're rare here, but maybe not rare elsewhere in North America. So it's we wanted to keep it as general as possible to appeal to as many people as possible. And that's where the leopard frog came in.
Yep.
Because it's a species for BC, but it's also across Canada. So.
Yeah, do you want to take us over and see the leopard frog?
Sure.
Oh, we have some visitors at the exhibit.
Can I tell you about this?
Sure.
So
There
the
he
leopard
is.
frog is one of the species that used to occur abundantly here in the East Kootenays and was, for unknown reasons, probably a combination of environmental change, a pathogen sort of impacted the whole population. They disappeared. And the Ktunaxa Nation Council has been supporting research to reintroduce leopard frogs within an ecosystem, appropriate ecosystems here. And so far it looks like it's been successful, hey?
It's been a lot of work. Yeah, it's been
it
pretty
appears
intense.
that there's a reproductive population now. We're finding adults returning to the original release location. So we took leopard frogs that were laid in egg masses in Creston. They were raised and then released as tadpoles here in the East Kootenays. And so far so good. And the Chinook, what's that?
Whereabouts?
I can't tell you, or I'd have to tell you.
Serious
It's actually,
stuff.
because it's a species at risk and there's been so much effort, it's in the Bummers Flats area. So the beautiful wetlands that occur along the Kootenay River between Fort Steele and Lhasa.
So if they're endangered, is there any worth on the black market?
Very,
No.
although I've heard that they're really muscular frogs, like to see an adult jump,
It's amazing. Yeah.
their legs are incredible, and I understand that they make really good frogs' legs, but
Well,
you didn't hear that from me.
I've seen people actually just cut the legs off and stick those on a hook and use it for bait.
Wow.
So that's one of the uses for them on the prairies.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and in Ontario, the population,
Manitoba,
yeah, but they also co-occur with the bullfrogs.
Yeah, oh, in Ontario,
Yeah. So one of the problems that we now faced in the Crescent Valley, it doesn't happen here right now, is the chance of bullfrogs, which are invasive, don't normally belong in this area. They're beginning to show up now in the Crescent wetland, I heard. So anyway, species at risk face a number of issues. Some of them are human caused, some of them are just natural environmental conditions. And the Chinook Nation's approach is to no one thing is more important than another, but we're hamstrung by policies and governments who kind of limit our ability to work with all species, all living species. And the Chinook may feel that one species is more significant, but it has no federal listing, or it may not fall under the umbrella of an endangered species. So that's one of the challenges when you work from a different perspective than the sort of Western scientific. So we're working to combine Western science with traditional knowledge to raise awareness of all living things, not just species at risk. But one of the things that we do try and do is work to create healthy ecosystems so species at risk can survive over the long term.
I mean, without habitat, any restoration effort is pointless.
Absolutely.
There's nowhere for an animal or a plant to live. What are we going to do? Keep them in zoos for perpetuity? It makes no sense. So yeah.
So maybe we could
Habitat.
talk about salmon.
Yeah, would you like to come? Yeah. We're just going to follow Cathy over to the display, her and the rest
Oh,
of the
maybe before we do that, we can...
side trip.
Yeah, side trip. So the western meadowlark is a species that was extirpated from the Georgia Depression, but it actually occurs here, and the Chinook have a Chinook word for that bird. Some species are just named with a general term for the species, but this is one species that does have a Chinook word for it, so that's very special. Okay.
We've added the Chinook names for our trip here for a bunch of our different species at risk. Now we'll go learn about salmon with Cathy.
So the Chinook were a people who relied on changes of season for their survival. And one of the important aspects of that is the arrival of spawning salmon, or salmon who swam upstream both on the Kootenay and the Columbia rivers to spawn. That was a really significant food source for them. Unfortunately, due to the construction of dams and the changes in habitat that brought along the Columbia River and partly the Kootenay, salmon have been extirpated from the upper reaches of the upper Columbia. There is still a population of Chinook salmon, is it, that in the Okanagan area, and they've gone from hundreds of thousands of fish that would spawn there. Now there's hundreds, if not maybe even dozens. So the long-term goal would be to restore this ecosystem, and one of the aspects of that would be the return of salmon. So Chinook salmon is one species that did occur in this area, and we'd like to see them return. So part of the goals of the Ktunaxa Nation, and there's another agency as well, CRIFIC, they're working with governments, between federal, provincial governments, to see if it's possible and to find a way forward to make that happen. One of my favorite species at risk in this area is the sharp-tailed grouse. Now, it occurs in the prairies. It's pretty abundant, but it doesn't occur in very many places in British Columbia, but it's a really important bird culturally because these birds breed on these leks, and the males do this funny little dance. Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Let's see one more time, Gavin. One more time. Very nice.
There we go.
And I haven't seen it, but apparently there's a dance tradition with the Ktunaxa Nation, and they mimic the same behavior that the males do on the lek. So culturally, this is an important bird. I believe that I've seen it here in the Rocky Mountain Trench. I was questioned heavily on it, but I saw it down where it should occur in the south of the trench in grassland areas. That's about it.
Nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gavin, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
On camera dancing. I'm not even sure if that was accurate or even close to accurate.
That was the first for everything.
That was the first thing that came out of my. It was just,
I don't know how you know that.
yeah, I know. That's what popped into my head, so I did it.
I'm
so.
sure it was just lovely.
It was actually very accurate.
I wonder if my wife is getting the feed to this because she's a Facebook friend with the museum. So she'll see what her clown of a husband is doing on his time at work. Actually, I thought I'd listen.
That's a meadowlark.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the song of the meadowlark that.
I don't know if that
Not one
transmitted,
here. Hopefully, you guys could hear that. If not, you can look it up.
Yeah.
The song of the meadowlark. They're pretty lovely sounding birds.
Yeah.
I want to hear more of them.
Yeah.
The sign of spring here.
I mean, I used to love you on the prairies. You'd hear it all the time.
Absolutely.
Go for a nice quiet walk, and that's what the sound would be everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a few things I miss from the prairies, but not the snow. Yeah. No, it's a fantastic opportunity to get this material out. I mean, I'm thrilled to be out here. I like being out and meeting people, and seeing this stuff going around the province makes me very happy because it was a fair bit of work to get it together. So yeah, I hope everyone likes it. Hope a lot of people learn things. I see a lot of kids learning, and that's a big thing for me to see. You know, it's fine to show adults who have already got their minds made up what we're talking about, and some will agree and some will not. Sometimes we're preaching to the converted, and that's easy, but it's great to get kids thinking about this kind of material and think more about the wild world instead of GoPro or what do you call it, Pokemon Go or something. Instead of walking around doing this all day, actually go and look at birds. That's the real way you go and do your,
Yeah.
if you want to go and collect things, collect sightings, get your camera out and collect photographs.
Yeah, the original
Actually
Pokemon.
get out and look. Yeah, bird, the original Pokemon, bird watching. So
Very nice.
it's great to see the kids out here getting interested in this. So
Yesterday there was, were you here with the family of 3? There was 3 little boys, and one boy said, well, Mom, what can we do about this? He said, I know, we'll just build a new house. And I was kind of thinking that although that's not realistic, really what we can do is manage that house, the ecosystem, in a way that it runs better, that it works better.
Yeah.
So I thought he had a really good point.
It was
and
very
he was
sweet.
really excited about
He was
these
pretty
animals.
little, and he wanted to
Let's
build a house
build a
for
house.
all of the animals. It was very sweet.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, what we've done at our house, I mean, my wife and I, we've put out our garbage 3 times this year.
Wow.
We recycle as much as we can. Very little goes in the garbage can. We compost everything. For a while we had chickens, so we didn't go into compost, we fed the chickens. Chickens gave us eggs. But we've ripped out our lawn, and we've turned our yard into a very complex environment it may not be native species, it's actually vegetables and fruit, food for us, tons of berries. But the yard is full of birds and full of insects and spiders. So we've created, even though some of the species are standard urban species, we've created habitat just by ripping out that monoculture of grass.
Absolutely.
And you know, with recycling and composting, we're being as light as we can on the environment. So I mean, even that's a message we can bring to people, as something they can do instead of just feeling helpless. There's plenty people can do.
And not only that, but hi June, but educating yourself too, and then sharing that information that you gain, sharing it with others. I think for because I kind of come from an education background, and you're right, at a certain point we sort of get entrenched in our ideas, but if we can get across the right information to kids when they're young and get them excited about this living world, I think that carries a long way into adulthood.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much.
Dr. Hanky and Cathy Conroy, who works for the Ktunaxa Nation. We're glad you were able to join us, and if you happen to be in Cranbrook this week, we will be here with the exhibit from now through Friday from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. We hope you can join us. If you aren't in Cranbrook, we are off to Rossland next week, so you can maybe catch us there. We're running a Species at Risk summer camp for kids as well. And Dr. Hanky will be at the Rossland Museum tomorrow night for their Night at the Museum feature. So if you're in Rossland tomorrow, you should go check it out. Thanks again for checking in with us, and have a fabulous day.